Welcome into the high noon stream. Excuse me. Right out of the box with the coughing. I apologize for that. Welcome into the high noon stream. We do this every Monday through Friday, noon till whenever. That's right. We start at noon. Typically, we start at noon. I apologize for today's late start. Okay, let's get the chat going. Let's see how this works at a later time. Like I said, this show airs Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. noon every Monday through Friday. And then we do a second stream. We do a second stream called Pugs and Parker. Pugs and Parker comes to you at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's myself and James Parker at 9 o'clock. It's more conversational. We do more interviewee type stuff. Last night we had Sybil on. Oh, that was so great. The lovely Sybil from the old Pugs and Kelly show. Sybil joined us as a part of our ongoing series where we're talking to people who worked with James and I at Live 105.3, a former station here in Dallas. And we're just getting their stories. This is all sort of the behind the scenes heavy lifting of a podcast that we're putting together for Radio Misfits podcast platform, which is going to tell the story of that radio station, Live 105.3. So that was last night. If you want to check out last night's Pugs and Parker stream, you can go to pugscast.com. That'll take you directly to the YouTube page. Whenever I go there, I always get like one video and I'm like, well, why is there just one video? You got to click live, like at the top. There's like a bunch of different like kinds of videos, like videos. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's my own page. I don't understand it, but you just click live and it'll take you there. So today I appreciate you guys, hanging with me here for a little bit later. I had a phone conference at 11 o'clock this morning and it went all the way to like 12:05. And I was like, oh God, I thought I was going to be able to squeeze the show in because I had done some prep at like 9 o'clock in the morning. But then by the time the phone conference ended, I was like, okay, so I got to push the show back. And then I realized that like 50% of all of the stories that I had prepared from earlier this morning for the noon show, they were already stale, and there were more interesting ones that had taken their place. So I made the executive decision to push the show back another 2 hours and just do a completely new edition of the High Noon Show at 2 o'clock. And that's where we are now. How are you? Let me say hi to some people. I know it's going to be a little bit less of the regulars because we're in a different time. Maybe we'll be some new people. If you're new and you don't typically listen at 12 p.m., say hi. I'd like to maybe get you to listen at 12 p.m. Or I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't think the show will move. Like, I don't think the time would move later in the day. I think it's more likely that it moves earlier in the day. Like high noon becomes 10 a.m. high, something like that. Like I could see that being more likely than it moving to 2, but whatever. This is just a one-off, and I'm glad you could join us. And anybody that's here, pull up a chair and get comfortable. Also, it is first of the month. Tip the show if you can't. What just happened? Tip the show if you can. I'll leave that banner up at the bottom. Venmo, Cash App. Treat me like I'm your valet. Treat me like I'm your bartender. Whatever it is, just drop a little something. Your contributions go a long way to keeping this show in production. All right, let's get into what today is. The high noon show is about the day that we are experiencing right now. We like to get into all the current events, all the hot topics, the trends, the buzzworthy things, just whatever it is that people are out there tittering on about. I like to give you a little bit of a rundown on why they're tittering on about it, what you should think of it. No, I'll give you my hot take. You can form your own opinions. And then we move on, and then we go on to the next topic, and it's boom, 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 boom. One topic after another. We don't spend too much time on any one thing. We move on to the next. We don't do politics. We don't get into bullshit divisive politics. I don't care if you're blue, red, whatever. Shut up about that stuff. That's just so fucking ugh. Anyway, we don't do that. So these are all the other stories, the other things that people are talking about. How do we do this? How do we present it? Well, what we do is we begin by giving you the history of the day. We tell you, we go through some of the cool things or not so cool things. I mean, I guess it also depends on perspective. Some things are not so cool, though. Some things I think we can all agree. Reasonable minds can agree not cool. But we go through the history of the day, cool or not cool. Then we talk about some of the people who were born on this day, cool or not cool. And then we mourn some of the passings of people who have passed on this day, cool or not cool. And then after we do that, then it's like I ask the question. I say, class, how do you feel? Do you feel like we understand what this day has represented in the past? And if the answer is yes, we move on. We 100% move on. We've never not moved on. So don't worry about it if you're lagging behind. All right, so let's get started now that we understand that. It is the High Noon Show for the very first day of March. Welcome to the party, March. Come on in. It's the 60th day of the year, don't you know? There are 305 days left until New Year's Eve. All right, some of the history of this day. On this day in 1692, we're going all the way back. 1692. It's like everything was scary back then, right? That seemed like just like a real scary time for a dude from 2023 to just be dropped back in 1692. Man, they had a different kind of cancel culture. And it started on this day. It was the first Salem witch trials on this day. Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and someone named Tituba are brought before local magistrates and put on trial. Began what we would come to know as the Salem witch trials. I don't know a whole lot about the Salem witch trials. I think that might be a subject I might be interested in getting into. I don't know, like, should I have gallbladder surgery or something and I'm recovering and I need to just like, here they come, here are the hiccups. I knew the hiccups were coming. I've been fighting them for 5 minutes. Can't believe it. Hold on. This happens from time to time on the show, folks. I get hiccups and it drives me nuts. I blame the chair. I do. I think it's the chair I'm sitting in. I think it's the chair and the way it forces me to stand. I think it's an unnatural flow of air. And I think that when I sit here, I get hiccups. But I don't get hiccups on I don't get hiccups on Pugs and Parker. Which leads me to believe that another factor in me getting the hiccups here on the noon show is because I'm the only one talking. Because I feel like I constantly have to be filling. And you talk so fast. Hey, that's my co-host, Schizophrenic Me. Sometimes he chimes in. I do talk fast. I talk fast. I got a lot of words I'm trying to push out. Maybe if I had a more measured and a more rhythmic pattern of speech, I wouldn't suffer these hiccups the way I do, but I'm suffering the hiccups. But one of the ways that I have found that I can defeat the hiccups is if I just go into a nonsensical rant about hiccups, like I just did. Hiccups are gone. Thank you. That's right. That whole process, that last 3 minutes, you thought I was just talking about stuff. I was just talking about stuff, but I was trying to get my rhythm back, and I did. On this day in 1815, Napoleon returns to France from his banishment in Elba. Which one was this? Which one was it? Was this when he came back and he became emperor again? And then, because he was banished a couple of times. Like there's Elba. He's from Corsica. Was he banished to Corsica at the end? I don't know. Anyway, Napoleon, welcome back. Give it another try. Was this the one? I don't know. This is just, I used to love Napoleon when I was in high school, college. I used to think Napoleon was like totally cool. He didn't take no for an answer, and he just always had these crazy schemes, and they somehow worked out for him and whatever. But Napoleon was like in exile for being Napoleon. He was Napoleon. He had tried to take over the world, didn't work out. There was a new government in France, and they said, okay, Napoleon, you're too much of a hero to the people. We can't kill you, but we're going to make you go live on this island. So he goes and he lives on this island. And he's Napoleon. He's like a rock star. So the guards on the island, they think it's cool that they're hanging out with Napoleon. So over the course of time, Napoleon turns all of his guards into his followers because he's Napoleon. So he convinces the guards. He's like, hey, what do you say? Let me go. Don't just let me go. Come with me. You guys be like my little army of guards. And we're going to get in a boat and we're going to sail from Elba. We're going to go back to France. And I'm going to get my army back. And like these group of guards that were guarding him in exile were like, Napoleon is so cool, man. We should do this. We should totally do this, man. I don't know. That was like a really bad French accent. It started out like I was doing like a Middle Eastern thing. And then in the middle of it, I was like, wait, no, this is France. And then I tried to ease my way back into a French accent. It didn't work. It didn't work. Anyway, but his guards were like, "Hey, Napoleon, he's so cool. Johnny Blue Jeans, let's follow him." So they followed him, and they ended up back in France, and they were confronted by like the French army. Like the French army had heard they were. I don't know how they heard they were coming, but they did. So the French army is there, and Napoleon shows up with like his 3 boats. It's just him and his guards, and he shows up and he's met by like the general of the army that is amassed to stop him. And the general used to work for Napoleon. And the general also thinks Napoleon's kind of a rock star. So Napoleon was like, "Hey, what are you going to do? You going to kill me? Or are we going to do this again? We're going to roll it back, bro." And the general was like, "Let's roll it back." And then so, Napoleon became emperor again. That's why he's cool. Napoleon's cool. There's some cool Napoleon. There's a lot of cool little stories with Napoleon. Like he wasn't handsome, he was a little ugly man, and like Josephine was hot, and like he like convinced Josephine to marry her because he was such a car dealer. He was such a sell. He told her that he'd make her the most powerful woman in all of Europe, and that appealed to her. She kind of liked that. She dug that. But he convinced her that, yeah, you don't love me now. In fact, you don't even like me now. But you know what? Just hang out with me. I'm gonna grow on you. That was like his whole pitch to Josephine. That yeah, you'll love me eventually. You'll see. I know. I don't present well. But once you're like hanging out with me for like, 6 months a year, you're gonna be caught up in the cult of Napoleon. You're gonna get into it. On this day in 1836, a convention of delegates from 57 Texas communities convened on Washington on the Brazos in Texas to deliberate their independence from Mexico. It was on this date in 1836. That's when we said, you know what? Enough, Mexico. We're going to create a society. It's going to last 1,000 millennia. And we're going to call it the Republic of Texas. So there you go. That didn't last 1,000 millennia. It lasted until 1845, because on this day in 1845, the United States President John Tyler signed a bill authorizing the United States to annex the Republic of Texas. So there you go. So on this day, the Republic of Texas formed. They came together and said, we are not a part of Mexico. But then also on this day, like 6 years later, America went, yeah, but now you're a part of us. Which is, I think a good deal. I think it worked out good for everybody. On this day in 1867, Nebraska is admitted as the 37th U.S. state. All right. If we were to look at the United States, if we were to look at all 50 states like a classroom, and like a high school classroom, and we were going to have to figure out, who the smartest and, who's the best performer, who's doing, where would Nebraska be? Would Nebraska be bottom? They wouldn't be bottom 10. We know the bottom 10. That's your Mississippis and your Arkansas and all that. But where would Nebraska be? Well, what has Nebraska really contributed since being admitted to the Union in 1867? Here come the hiccups again. Jesus Louises. I mean, Tom Osborne. I mean, when I think of Nebraska, I think of Cornhusker football first and foremost. So I don't know, whatever. But it was on this day in 1867 that Nebraska became the 37th state. That's probably about where they'd rank. Maybe, right? Somewhere around there, 37th. That's pretty good. On this day in 1872, Yellowstone National Park is established as the world's first national park. Hiccups. Never been to Yellowstone. Want to go to Yellowstone. I enjoy the show Yellowstone. MAGA! No, not MAGA. I just like TV, and that's good TV. It's good TV. I love the story. I'm caught up in the story. It's a soap opera, The Duttons. I care. What can I tell you? MAGA! It's not a MAGA show. First of all, Taylor Sheridan is a liberal Democrat. Okay? He's talked endlessly about it. He's also a cowboy. Well, he's one of these Texans. He's one of these Texans who's like a liberal Texan. And we see them every now and again. They're around. Your Willie Nelson types. Your Kinky Friedmans. These kind of weird. They've been historically weirdos, but now they're whatever. And I'm not talking like your pussy lefty liberals like Beto. Beto is all pussy and so. I'm talking about dudes that'll punch you in the face. I'm talking about that kind of Texas lefty liberal. I'm not talking about Beto. Okay, stop it. Anyway, Yellowstone. I like Yellowstone. I like Yellowstone, the TV show. And on this day, Yellowstone National Park was turned into the first park. And do you see what I did there? I talked longer about Yellowstone than I really wanted to, but I was battling hiccups when that conversation started. See what I did? See what I did? I did it again. I beat it again. On this day in 1893, electrical engineer Nikola Tesla gives the first public demonstration of radio in St. Louis, Missouri. It was on this day in 1893. Now, remember, we talked about this the other day when we were celebrating the birthday of David Sarnoff, the General David Sarnoff, who ran NBC and basically is one of the most important people in the history of broadcasting. And one of the things that I mentioned about David Sarnoff, and this was in like 1920, one of the things that was interesting about David Sarnoff was that he was the guy who suggested, see, radios were being made by his company, his RKO, RCA, whatever. It was one of those. I don't know which one it was. I think it was RCA, Radio Corporation of America. Yeah. So they were making radios, but they were making radios for people to be able to sort of it was almost like a CB. Like their idea of how the radio would be used was like a CB. Like people would be able to breaker, anybody out there, and then you'd hear somebody else. That's basically the idea. So they were selling these radios to people. It was David Sarnoff who said, wait. Instead of making these things and telling people they should use them for point-to-point communication, like with their neighbors or whatever, like walkie-talkies, basically. Instead of that being the way that we show them how to use this, what if we did point to mass? What if we sold people all these radio stations, but then we made like one place where professionals came in and did stuff that everybody might want to listen to? So that's crazy innovation. And it was on this day in what was it? So this was 1893 that the very first demonstration of radio was done. And in 1893, they were thinking point to point. They were thinking, I'll broadcast it here, and that person right there will hear it. And I will say something specific to that person. And it was Nikola Tesla years later who would be the one to go, wait a second, instead of just going from this guy to that guy, what if we went from this guy to everybody? And we told people, instead of allowing people to broadcast their own signals on the earliest radios, which they were allowed to do, why don't we just make them receivers and make them listen to what we are putting out there? So there you have it. I love those kinds of innovations. I was watching something recently, or was I reading this? I don't know. I was reading about the woman who invented the Barbie doll. Okay, the woman who worked for Mattel. She was like the wife of one of the, I don't know, Mattel was like the confluence of two names. She was married to one of the dudes, and she was a baller in the company. And she was like overseas somewhere, and she saw this like doll that was being sold for women's like grown women. It was a doll for like a bachelorette party or something like that. And she saw it in the window, and she came back to America, and she said, you know what? She goes, what if we took that bachelor party doll and we turned it into something that we sold to kids? Now, what did she do that was so innovative? Because that doesn't sound that innovative. There had never been a doll that approximated a grown adult before. That wasn't done. Dolls were all baby dolls. Every doll that was made was a baby doll. It was like an infant. And they were, little girls played with baby dolls. Little girls didn't play with women in their 20s, which is what Barbie was. Anyway, it's another cool innovation. I just thought that was interesting. Frank Sinatra, another great innovation. When Frank Sinatra was coming up, it was just sort of the crossover, the introduction of the microphone. Remember, before Frank Sinatra, everybody sang like, hello, my baby, hello, my... They were singing to the cheap seats in the back. They had to sing a certain way. But it was Frank Sinatra who was introduced to the microphone. And Frank said, you mean I can sing any way I want now, and people in the back can hear me? I don't have to sing like this. See? Innovation. Cool innovations. All right. 1932. What happened on this day in 1932? Charles Lindbergh. Oh, see, tone, man. Tone is everything. I'm like, yeah, but blah, blah, blah. This has got to be a fun story. And then it's Charles Lindbergh's child is kidnapped. Yeah. Charles Lindbergh's kid got kidnapped on this day. Charles Lindbergh was not a good person. Charles Lindbergh was close personal friends with Adolf Hitler and Hermann Goering. He was a Nazi. He was. Can't take that away from him. Hey, people made choices back then. He went on record. He made his choice. But nobody deserves to go through what the Lindbergh family went through with that kidnapping. On this day in 1932, aviator Charles Lindbergh's 20-month-old son, Charles Jr., is kidnapped from his home in East Amwell, New Jersey. His body would not be found until May 12th. On this day in 1953, Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin suffers a stroke and collapses. He dies 4 days later. There is such a funny movie about this moment in history. It's called The Death of Stalin. I don't know if you get a chance to see it. I don't know what it's on. Maybe Netflix, Amazon Prime. I don't know. I caught it. It is so funny. It's a comedy. It's a dark comedy. It's a dark comedy about what happened in the minutes following, not in minutes and days, 4 days, but what happened in the moment that Stalin had his stroke and slipped into his coma. Like, what was going on in the Kremlin? Like, what were the people? Oh, it's so funny. It is so, and they didn't tell the world about it for 4 days. And it's basically about those 4 days of what the things that they were imagining they could get away with. It's just really good. It's called Death of Stalin. If you haven't seen it, you'll enjoy it. Came out about 5 years ago. Let's see here. What else do we got? 1962 on this day, American Airlines Flight 1. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even need to say the rest. What's my rule, people? I've mentioned this a bunch of times. You don't get on a plane that has a low number. You don't get on a plane that has a low number. You just don't. You don't want to get on Flight 1. So what happened to Flight 1 in 1962? American Airlines Flight 1 crashes. Oh, sure it did. Crashes into Jamaica Bay in New York, killing all on board. Flight 1. Okay. If it's something that's dangerous that can kill you, you don't want to be on Flight 1 of that thing. You want to be on Flight 10,000, right? You don't want to be on Flight 1. You don't want to get the first new iPhone. You don't want that. You don't want to be the early adopter. You certainly don't want to be the early adopter on Air Flight. Flight 1. Now, I know it wasn't the first flight ever. I know, but still, that's just an ominous number. I don't like it. On this day in 74, excuse me, on this day in 74, the Watergate scandal, 7 are indicted for their roles in the Watergate break-in and charged with conspiracy to obstruct justice. On this day in 1998, Titanic became the first film to gross over $1 billion worldwide. I hated Titanic. Two movies that I just can't abide. Titanic and Jerry Maguire. Because they both lied to us. They did. They lied to us. Jerry Maguire, we'll start there. When I saw Jerry Maguire first advertised in a theater, it was in a trailer. And the Jerry Maguire trailer made me, now I don't know what movie I was seeing. Maybe I was seeing some stupid guy movie, so the trailer was cut to appeal to a stupid guy audience, but whatever. So the very first Jerry Maguire trailer I saw was the story of Tom Cruise operating successfully in the cutthroat world of sports agencies. Now that appealed to me. I was like, yeah. Cut to a couple weeks later, I'm in a movie theater watching Jerry Maguire, and it's a love story. I wasn't supposed to be a love story. It was supposed to be about big business. It was supposed to be about professional sports agents. That's what I wanted. I didn't want, you had me at hello. I didn't want that. That is not what I signed up. Titanic was the same way. Thought it was about a boat accident. I thought it was about a tragedy. I thought it was about, this historical event that shaped maritime laws for, the next century. I thought it was going to be something historically interesting, and it turned out to be, I'm king of the world. Oh, God. Anyway, Titanic made $1 billion, and it was the first movie to do it. On this day in 1998, Titanic crossed over the 1 billion worldwide mark. I also recently saw a thing with, who's that Claire Danes? Claire Danes was supposed to be, what's her face? Kate Winslet, right? Was it Kate Winslet? I don't know. Is it Kate Winslet? There's a whole bunch of those. Catherine. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them. Whatever. We're gonna say it's Kate Winslet. Yeah, we're gonna go with Kate Winslet. So it was supposed to be Claire Danes because Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio had just gotten done doing Romeo and Juliet, and they thought, let's capitalize on that. And Claire Danes was like, I don't want to do this movie. I don't want to do a second movie. So Kate Winslet comes out of nowhere, takes it, and boom, she's Kate Winslet. And we're all like, whatever happened to Claire Danes? Homeland, she did Homeland. But she could imagine what Claire Danes' career could have been if she was in Titanic. Because she kind of fell off. She kind of fell off after Romeo and Juliet. She didn't really make any other big movies. She wasn't a movie star. Moving on. Let's do some birthdays. Celebrating birthdays today. Born on this day in 1904, Glenn Miller. Glenn Miller was a big band guy. He was like super famous. He was super big. He was Elvis. He was Justin Bieber. He was all of that stuff, all wrapped in one. Then he died in a plane crash in 1944. Born on this day in 1914, Harry Carey. I'm the only guy in America who doesn't do a Harry Carey impression. Harry Carey, American sportscaster. Born on this day in 1914, died on this day in 1998. I had occasion to know Harry. I was lucky in my life to be working in Chicago media at a time in Harry's life when he had no more fucks to give. When Harry was just full metal for the brand Harry. Half in the bag, huggy, friendly, laughing, also at any moment on the verge of falling asleep, but then waking up again. Harry Carey was awesome. Harry Carey died in the most awesome Harry Carey way possible. You know how Harry Carey died? Harry Carey was out to dinner with his wife of like 70 years, Dutchie, who he loved, and he's pounding drinks. He's got a table full of friends. They're having a night out, man, and freaking Dutchie wants to dance. So she gets up and she's like, let's go dance. And here's Harry like, hey, I'll go dance. So he slams his drink, stands up from the table, gets his shoe caught in the rug, falls and bangs his head off the table. Now, I don't know if that's what killed him, but that happened shortly before he died. I'm not entirely sure how he died. As I worked through that story, I'm like, wait, is that what killed him? Or did that put him in the hospital like 6 months before he eventually died? I don't know. Well, you know what I got to do now? Now I got to find out how Harry Carey died, because that is a great story. Imagine that. That's how you go. You go because you got to go. You're just going to slam your last drink. You're out with friends. You're going to go dance with your wife. And then you slip and you crack your head on the table. And what are you going to do? He was a dude, man. He was fun. Let's see. How did he die? Death. Okay. Harry Carey died on February 18th, 1998, as a result of complications from a heart attack and brain damage. Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think it was when he cracked his head. On Valentine's Day, Carey and his wife, Dutchie, were at the Rancho Mirage, California restaurant, celebrating the holiday when Harry collapsed during the meal. Okay, that's a little different than him getting up to dance, but the Chicago media story is that he was getting up to dance. Let's see. Restaurant celebrating the holiday when Carey collapsed during the meal. Steve Stone's 1999 publication, Where's Harry?, suggests that Carey's head made contact with the table. Yeah, it was Steve Stone's own story, resulting in a loss of consciousness. This has never been confirmed, but is one possibility. All right, whatever. There you have it. Happy birthday, Harry Carey. Look, all I can tell you about Harry Carey is, as a Chicago baseball fan, he was the very first person that I identified as a sports broadcaster. The very first guy. Him and Jimmy Pearsall doing White Sox games on Channel 44 in the late 1970s. That was when I first became aware of baseball. Harry Carey, White Sox. Harry Carey, Jimmy Pearsall, White Sox. That was it. Now your local sports voice is a big deal. But for me, he was the first. He was the guy. He laid the groundwork. He was what every future sports game broadcaster needed to sound like, as far as I'm concerned. And what did he sound like? He sounded like your grandpa. He sounded like you were watching a game with your grandpa. And if you were lucky enough, your uncle was there. And, he knew a lot about baseball, but Harry wasn't a professor. Harry didn't get all, he didn't get all that. Harry was more of like an everyman. He can talk baseball with anybody at the highest levels, but he didn't present that way. He presented it like, he's just the fan that does know a little bit more than you. He was great. Just an absolute icon. And you know what? I love Harry Carey so much, I didn't even care when his contract dispute in the 1980s led him over to the Chicago Cubs, where he became mostly nationally identified with the Chicago Cubs. I don't care. I don't care about that. I still love Harry Carey. Born on this day in 1917, also celebrating a birthday, Dinah Shore. Don't know what she does. Talked about her. We talked about her a couple of weeks ago. I think it was on the anniversary of her death. Maybe it was last week. I don't know what she did. Maybe it was this week even. I don't know. I don't know what she did. She was a singer. She was an actress. She was a talk show host. She did golf stuff. I don't know. Dinah Shore, happy birthday. Born on this day in 1924, Deke Slayton. Deke Slayton, American soldier, pilot, astronaut, one of the original Mercury 7 astronauts, went on to lead the astronauts office at NASA for years and years. Deke Slayton's been portrayed by a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of stories about the moon landing. Deke Slayton's awesome. He's got a cool astronaut name, Deke. If you can't be Buzz, you may as well be Deke. Pete Rozelle was born on this day in 1926. He was an American businessman, commissioner of the NFL, one of the most important people in the history of, the NFL-AFL merger, Super Bowl, that whole thing, Pete Rozelle. Born on this day in 1926. Born on this day in 1935, Robert Conrad, American actor, radio host, and stuntman. Robert Conrad was a D-bag. Look, Robert Conrad was one of the last of like the 1940s and 50s era Hollywood tough guys. And he was like, but he wasn't like super old. Well, I think he's dead now, right? I think he's dead now, but he wasn't super old like in the 70s, but he was like operating like it was still 1945. See, I'll sock you in the puss. Like, you know what I mean? He was like a tough guy, but he was like a legit tough guy. Or was he? I don't know. How hard was it to be the tough guy? Right? In the 19th. So he's the tough guy actor in Hollywood. Versus who? Gabe Kaplan? Henry Winkler? I mean, I know he's the Fonz, but have you seen him outside the leather jacket? He's not exactly intimidating. I don't know. I always thought Robert Conrad was kind of a douche. He did those battery commercials. Well, I liked him in Black Sheep Squadron. That was a show that he had where he played Pappy Boyington. That was a cool show. But again, it was also a very macho show. But then he was most famous in the 80s for doing Duracell commercials where he would put a Duracell battery on his shoulder and then he'd be like, go ahead, knock it off. I dare you. I dare you to knock it off. And I'm like looking at this guy, I'm like 15 and I'm going, that dude looks like Bob's dad. Why are we supposed to be afraid of him? I got guys that I go to high school with that'll happily knock that fucking battery off that old man's shoulder. What? So I never really bought into that whole mystique of Robert Conrad, the tough guy. I didn't get it. But he came from an era where you could be a tough guy just by acting like a tough guy. Like, you didn't have to be all ripped and, MMA trained and all that. You could just, bluff your way into being, and I think that's what Robert Conrad was. Born on this day in 1944, Roger Daltrey, English singer-songwriter, one of the great frontmen of all time, of course, lead singer of The Who. And my co-star in a little movie I did back in the late 90s called Father Jim. Yeah, you can find the Father Jim trailer on YouTube, a movie starring Roger Daltrey. And myself, I played... I was an extra, so I didn't really have a name, but I created an entire backstory for my character who is in the background lifting boxes. I worked on a dock. I was a dock worker. I was a background dock worker in a movie. That's a long way for me to get to saying I was a background dock worker in a movie that Roger Daltrey starred in that nobody ever saw. 1947, Alan Thicke was born. Alan Thicke, Canadian-American actor and composer. Alan Thicke, he's dead now. That's one of them dudes that it's just like Wednesday and you're going about your business and then you hear Alan Thicke died and you're like, fuck, that didn't need to happen. Everything was fine today. Alan Thicke wasn't old. He didn't need to die. What? Alan Thicke was very likable. I liked Alan Thicke. I liked him. Well, who couldn't, right? Who didn't like Alan Thicke? I don't know about his kid, though. Robin? I don't know about that kid. I don't know. I don't have an opinion. I don't know. I don't know about him. Born on this day in 1954, Catherine Bach, American actress. Catherine Bach. Was she Daisy Duke? Yeah, she was Daisy Duke. Okay, so let me come. So Daisy Duke was right in my puberty wheelhouse, right? So Catherine Bach as Daisy Duke would have been, somebody that would have been, they've been really appealing to me and my little 13, 14-year-old ass with her ass. Here's my problem with it. I was never really attracted to Daisy Duke. I didn't. You know who I liked? I liked Nurse Bobby on Trapper John. I was such a weird kid. Every other kid in America is like into Catherine Bach as Daisy Duke. Not me. Not me. I like Nurse Bobby on Trapper John. I think her name was Bobby. I don't know. She had big boobs and she wore a super tight nurse uniform. And, that's all you need to know. I was 14. Here's my thing about Catherine Bach. I always thought that she seemed a little bit. I'll put it this way, without besmirching Daisy Duke. Nurse Bobby seemed pure. Okay. Nurse Bobby seemed pure. Daisy Duke did not. I did not want my mom to meet Daisy Duke. Daisy Duke was not going to meet my mom. Nurse Bobby could totally meet my mom. Anyway, Catherine Bach, happy birthday to you. I wasn't a fan. You know who I really was, though? You're talking about Nurse Bobby. I like Nurse Bobby, but Linda Carter, Superwoman, and Farrah Fawcett, that was pretty good. Although I was a Jacqueline Smith guy. Now all of these people from like me being 12-year-old that I had crushes on, they're all coming back. It was Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline Smith was probably number one now that I'm thinking about it. I really like Jacqueline Smith. I really like Bo Derek. What was that? Oh my God. I'm crushing on Nurse Bobby from Trapper John and Jacqueline Smith. And then all of a sudden there's a thing called Bo Derek. What? Wait. Y'all just up the ante for my 12-year-old ass. I don't know what's going on now. What is with that hair? I like it, but I don't know what that is. Born on this day in 1954, umbilical cousins with Catherine Bach. How about Ron Howard? Ron Howard celebrating a birthday. Ron Howard, I don't do a Ron Howard draft. Man, though, talk about the career. Oh, the career my man has had. Started out as Opie, and even before he was Opie, he was like on a bunch of other stupid little shit when he was like 4. Dude's been earning since he's like 4 years old. Opie, then he becomes Richie Cunningham, then he becomes a director, then he becomes the director of a hit movie, then he becomes a really well thought of director, then he becomes one of like the greatest directors in Hollywood history, and here we are. Now we got a Dallas Bryce Howard to enjoy, if you enjoy a Dallas Bryce Howard, and I do. Zack Snyder, born on this day in 1966. Zack Snyder, American film director, producer, screenwriter. Zack Snyder. I'm a big fan of the Snyder cuts. I don't want to get into a fist fight or a knife fight. I will die on that hill. I am a fan of the Snyder cuts. We are moving on. 1969, born on this day. Javier Bardem. That dude, remember No Country for Old Men? I don't even know. Javier Bardem's done a lot of stuff, but he's always going to be that dude with the haircut in No Country for Old Men. That's what I call him, dude with haircut. He kills people with that bolt. I don't know what it was. It was all scary. Born on this day in 1987, Kesha, American singer, songwriter, and actress. I don't know anything about Kesha. Born on this day in 1994, Justin Bieber, Canadian singer and songwriter. I'm warming up to Justin Bieber. My 13-year-old son, who's oddly enough, I actually respect his musical opinions on things because he tends to over-articulate the way he feels about something, especially if it's like a TV show. So I like it. So I know that I'm getting like a real thoughtful answer and not just, this is what the cool kids like. You know what I mean? And my 13-year-old kid tells me, no, Dad. No. You're sleeping on Justin Bieber. He's legit. For me, he was just some cute little 12-year-old. Like, oh, look at the cute little 12-year-old on YouTube, right? He's always going to be that. Apparently he's good. At least, the next generations who are going to determine what he is. We're not going to, if you're 50 years old, your opinion right now of Justin Bieber is not going to be what the history books write. Okay. It's just not. It's going to be what 30-year-olds write because that's what he is. No, he's 29. He's 29 years old today. Happy birthday, Justin Bieber. He's also trending, so we'll have to get into that. There's a reason for him trending. It's not his birthday, strangely enough. Death, some people who passed away on this day. Jackie Coogan died on this day in 1984. Jackie Coogan was a child actor. Oh, they loved Jackie Coogan. Jackie Coogan was in like silent movies. Was he with Charlie Chaplin and stuff? Was he like the little kid in the Charlie Chaplin movie, The Kid? I don't know, whatever. Jackie Coogan, cute little kid, grew up to be an adult actor, not a cute little kid anymore because he became famous as Uncle Fester on The Addams Family. That's right, Uncle Fester, Jackie Coogan, dead on this day in 1984. Dead on this day in 1988, outlived Uncle Fester by a good 4 years. Joe Besser, American comedian and actor. Maybe you know him best as Curly Joe Besser. Curly, he was one of the Spare Stooges. When the original Stooges started to break down because of like health and stuff like that, they started bringing in Spare Stooges. And not Shemp. Shemp was not a Spare Stooge. Shemp was an original Stooge. You want to get serious about it. Curly was a Spare Stooge. The original three Stooges were Shemp, Moe, and Larry. And then Shemp left. He McLean Stevenson it out of that show and decided he was going to go be an actor on his own. Didn't work out. He came back after Curly had to leave. But anyway, Curly Joe Besser, one of the more forgettable. Curly Joe Besser died on this day in 1988. Dead on this day in 2012, Andrew Breitbart, American journalist, publisher. He was out smoking a cigar while jogging, which I always thought was interesting, and he suffered a heart attack. Don't smoke cigars while jogging. Maybe he was speed walking. I don't know. Dead on this day in 2013, Bonnie Franklin. Oh, Mrs. Romano. From One Day at a Time. This is it. This is it. Dead on this day in 2015, Minnie Minoso, the Cuban comet, Mr. White Sox. That's right. Every White Sox game, I take a picture in front of the Minnie Minoso statue. Minnie Minoso, Cuban-American ball player, the first Afro-Latino ball player in Major League Baseball. It's not really anything that's celebrated outside of Chicago White Sox culture. Like, you never hear, like, that's not a big deal. Jackie Robinson, we all know Jackie Robinson. Abner Doubleday. Abner Doubleday would be the first white guy to play baseball. We'll just give him that. Abner Doubleday, first white guy to play baseball. Then Jackie Robinson. But now the league is dominated by Afro-Latino players. And there is no like recognition for the guy who was the first Afro-Latino player. And that would be Minnie Minoso, who died on this day in 2015. Hall of Famer. I don't know, like billion-time All-Star, billion-time Gold Glover, the great Minnie Minoso. Not really beloved outside of Chicago White Sox culture. I mean, we love him, and that's why to this day we have this incredible Cuban connection. But that's interesting that when you think about the fact that the league is absolutely dominated by Afro-Cuban players, why does nobody know who the first because they had to break through too. It wasn't easy for them. All right, that's it. That's going to be, do you feel like we understand what the day is? I feel like we do. So let's jump through some of the trends and some of the topics. Let's get into all of the things that people are talking about today. The first big story, we like to start it out with more serious topics, and then we get into the more silly stuff. Chinese lab. That's right. The Chinese, the Wuhan lab is trending. Great subject of controversy the past 3 years. I never really understood it. But here's what they're saying about the Chinese lab. This is Dateline, Washington. FBI Director Christopher Wray said on Tuesday that the COVID pandemic was probably the result of a lab leak in China, providing the first public confirmation of the Bureau's classified judgment of how the virus that led to the deaths of nearly 7 million people worldwide first emerged. All right, now, you know me, I sit here in the middle and I watch all the idiots on the right and all the idiots on the left go at it back and forth. But here's what I'm going to say from my seat in the middle on this whole thing. First of all, where did the virus begin? I don't know. I'm just a regular guy. There has to be someone in a position of authority who I'm going to believe. So, am I going to get into a fight to the death with a stranger on Facebook over where it began? Both of you sides, you're morons. Just sit back and wait. Wait to find out. You're not supposed to know. You sell auto parts in fucking Columbus, Ohio. You're not supposed to know the origins. You're supposed to be informed of the origins when the experts get ready. So anyway, so early on, it was all Chinese. And then that got politicized too. We got to fucking, the fucking Chinese. It turned into that whole thing. And then a couple of Chinese people get beat up on the street, and it turns into, you got to stop saying it's China's fault because Chinese people are being bit. No, we don't. If it's Chinese, well, first of all, it seems most likely that it came from a lab in Wuhan, and it had seemed like that was likely from very early on. I mean, just the little pieces of info that were trickling in, and where it started and where the outbreak began. No, it didn't. It didn't happen at the lab. It happened at the wet market, a block from the wet. Oh, shut up. Okay, but the lab is testing this extremely rare thing, and they had it. But you're saying it somehow. So it didn't come from the lab. It came from. See, it was just all so stupid. And then the left really dug in to the whole. No, it's not from the Wuhan. And then that became like a big thing on the right. And then the crazy right. Now look, the crazy right, I always talk about the crazy right, the QAnon people who think JFK Jr. is still alive and all that stuff. All right, so I always talk about the crazy right. So the crazy right can be right about some stuff. They can, if like 9 of the 10 things they say are, this is JFK Jr., but one of them is, and it started in China. It doesn't mean that they can't be right sometimes. They can't just trip over their dicks and accidentally embrace something that is true. So, I kind of always thought it had something to do with a lie. Now, the question then gets, well, they did it on purpose. Well, if they did it on purpose, they spilled it in their own backyard first. That doesn't seem like they did it on purpose. That seems like this was a mistake. Now, is the Chinese government taking any responsibility for it? No, because they don't want the world to blame them, even though in the coming years, I think it's going to be pretty agreed upon that the world is going to blame China. But this means like Chinese people in Akron are going to get beat up. I don't think so. I hope not. And if they do, then, we need to address those kinds of protections for certain communities if this becomes a real problem. But simply acknowledging the fact that it probably came from a Chinese laboratory, I don't get how that makes you, you're a libtard, you're a right maggot. I don't get it. That just seems like the facts. And now, but here's the other interesting thing. So the right who really embraced this, and I think rightfully so, the right who really embraced the belief that it came from a lab, they have been telling their people for the last couple of years, don't believe anything the FBI ever says ever. The FBI is bad. The FBI is wrong. The FBI is bullshit. They're all corrupt. It's all. So how do the people who have been supporting the idea that the coronavirus started in a Wuhan lab, how do they now reconcile that the FBI is going, yeah, you're right about that one? Like, they can't go, see, the FBI says. They can't celebrate this because they've been saying don't believe anything the FBI says for years. And the left is just stupid. The left is just this is how I break it down. I sit in the middle and I look, and this is how I break it down. I look at the right and I go, you fucking people are just mean. You people on the right, you're just mean people. And then I look at the people on the left. And by the way, I mean the extremes of both. I don't mean everybody on the right. I mean the extreme, the far crazies, the extremes. People on the right, you're just mean. People on the left are just stupid. They're just dumb. They're just dumb, and they need to get out of their own ways. And they're just, Also, I also believe that people on the right tend to live in the world that sits in front of them. They exist in a world where shit is scary, where shit is dangerous, where shit is, you got to be prepared and you got to be ready because anything bad can happen. They live in that world all the time. The left lives in a world that they want to be. The left lives in a fantasy world where people aren't mean to each other, where racism doesn't exist, where that's stupid. that to me is stupid. Now, besides the right people, a lot of them are just assholes, right? So it's like, yeah, so what do? I sit in the middle, like I believe about 70% of Americans. I sit in the middle and I look at my idiots friends on the right and I go, God, you're fucking mean. And I look at my idiot friends on the left and I go, God, you're fucking stupid. I don't know. What is it? But is it better to be mean or stupid? But anyway, the FBI is now admitting that officially we believe that the coronavirus and the pandemic that came from the coronavirus was the result of a Chinese lab leak. The FBI, here's a quote now. The FBI has for quite some time now assessed that the origins of the pandemic are most likely a potential lab incident in Wuhan. This is from Chris Wray. Here you are talking about a potential leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab. Now, leak. So that's powerful word from Director Wray. Leak, because when you just say we're talking about a Chinese government, here's the exact quote. Here we are talking about a potential leak from a Chinese government-controlled lab. Leak is the important word, because what people take when they hear leak, most people think intentional leak. Like most people think that, this was done on purpose, it was intentional. But a leak could also be a monkey got out, or a leak could be a bat flew out an open window. I mean, that could also be a leak. So that's a very charged statement, the way he said leak, because it leaves open for interpretation. What kind of a leak does the FBI think this was? Was this done intentionally? Let's see. Mr. Wray added that the Chinese government has been trying to thwart and obfuscate the investigation that the Bureau of Investigation and other parts of the U.S. government and foreign partners have been carrying out. So the FBI is now going on record saying Chinese ain't working with us. Us and the rest of the world, we're trying to figure this out. China is covering it up. Of course they are. China don't want to be blamed for this. China fucked up. And China right now is trying to figure out their place in the world. China's not entirely sure what they're supposed to be. Are they the good guys who, breaks down the old ways of the communist socialist regimes and opens up to the West and TikTok and all of this fun stuff? Or are they just going to, team with Russia and then take over Hong Kong? And, well, I guess they already got Hong Kong. But you know what I mean? Like take over that part of the world. They don't know who they are right now. And now potentially they could be forced into an evil role, into a bad guy role, if the rest of the world determines that you're to blame for coronavirus and now you owe us all 100 billion trillion or whatever. I don't know. They'll monetize it. China's got some decisions they got to make about who they are. What is the Chinese brand? That's what I would say. I'd walk in. Ping, baby. Ping? Is that his name? Li Jinping? Is that him? I don't know. Oh, God. All their names sound. I'm a Westerner. I have a Western ear, and I'm accustomed to Westernized pronunciation. All their names have ing in it. So it's all like ling, ping, ding. Oh, that's racist. No, it's not. It's an observation that I prefaced by saying it's an observation from somebody whose ear is tuned to a Western. It's not racist. It's an observation. Well, you shouldn't have that observation. Fuck you telling me what I should and shouldn't have. See, this is where people get angry. Don't tell me what I should or shouldn't have. I don't know the name of the Chinese president because half the people over there have ing in their name. It doesn't make me racist. It makes me maybe lazy, makes me ignorant of Chinese culture. Granted, I accept both. Doesn't make me racist. What else do we got here? Oh, here's a good one. Lori Lightfoot is trending, ladies and gentlemen. Why Lori Lightfoot is trending nationally is, again, 100% due to Fox News and Newsmax and the right deciding that Lori Lightfoot was a good target to be demonized. Why? Because she looks like a ghoul. You put Lori Lightfoot on TV and you just freeze frame her picture and, you can start talking shit about her and everybody listening is going to go, yeah, look at her. I mean, So she was the mayor of Chicago. Nobody should know who the mayor of Chicago is. Do you know who the mayor of Philadelphia is? No, of course you don't. Do you know who the mayor of do you know who I'm trying to think of another major American city. Do you know the mayor of Boston? No, of course you don't. Maybe you know the mayor of New York, maybe you know the mayor of Los Angeles. That's it. You shouldn't know the mayor of Chicago. But people know, and she's trending number one, and people who have never been to Chicago have hot takes for days about the Chicago election. See, I'm just trying to show how people have been ginned up about shit they shouldn't even care about. Lori Lightfoot. She lost. I'm happy about that. I was not a Lori Lightfoot fan. I don't know that I'm a Paul Vallis fan. Paul Vallis, Chicago runoff elections are so crazy. So Paul Vallis, guy who used to run the schools, and this dude Johnson, who's Cook County commissioner. Now they're going to run in a runoff. Paul Vallis is going to win. Chicago is saved. Yay! You see, again, I don't see any wholesale changes coming to the city of Chicago just because Lori Lightfoot is. I didn't like Lori. Here's what I didn't like about Lori Lightfoot. Here's what sealed the deal for me with Lori Lightfoot. I had been on the fence. Originally, when she was elected 4 years ago, I liked her. I was like, yeah, okay, that's cool. This is like a whole new attitude. This is a whole new type of mayor that we're getting here. We've just come from like 100 years of Dailies and Emanuels. Well, there was only one Emanuel, but he was there for a while, and he ran it very much like the Daily ran it. The Daily machine ran it. So I'm like, okay, so we'll do this new thing. And then she just completely shit the bed with the Chicago Bear negotiations and the Soldier Field, and the Bears are moving out of Soldier Field and they're moving to a suburb because she played hardball, and she fucked it up. She is forever going to be the lady that chased the Chicago Bears out of the city of Chicago. So that's why I'm glad she's gone. Lightfoot, the first Black woman and first openly gay person to lead Chicago. Man, she checked a lot of boxes too, right? Woman, check. Black, check. Gay, check. She's become the city's first elected mayor to lose re-election bid since 1983, when Jane Byrne, the city's first female mayor, lost her Democratic primary. Who did Byrne lose to? Harold, right? She lost to Harold Washington. That's right. The same forces that didn't want Harold Washington to succeed, they're still here, Lightfoot told the New Yorker, referring to the Democrat who was elected that year. The last time we had an African-American mayor in power was 40 years ago. It's important for us not to repeat history, she added. On Tuesday, Lightfoot received only 16.4% of the vote in Chicago, finishing behind former head of Chicago Public Schools, Paul Vallis, who's going to be the next mayor, and Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson's kind of crazy. I don't know enough about Brandon Johnson to say any more of that, other than the little things that I've heard about Brandon Johnson. He seems crazy. I don't think he's going to be good. Iran is trending because Iran is like days away from having a bomb. That's right. Iran's going to have a nuke. They did it. Iran did it. It's taken years and years, and the whole world was like, maybe we can work out a thing. You don't need to have a bomb. And they're like, okay, we'll work out a deal. And then there was a deal, and then the deal went away, and Iran got right back to building a bomb. And now Iran's about to have a nuclear bomb. That is a major, major problem in that part of the world. That's all I'm telling you. That's all I'm telling you. You think the Israelis are frosty now? You wait till Okay, so here's what's going to have to happen. Understand, here's what's going to have to happen. This is why just Iran having a bomb is a major problem. Because Israel is going to take out that bomb. Israel is now going to be forced to put up a squadron of fighter jets, and they're going to go into Iranian airspace, and they're going to take out whatever facility this is. Iran's going to shoot back. That might get the missile launched. Who knows? This is a problem. Israel, see, because the other thing is that Israel's not in a really good place right now. Israel is super divided, just like we are. Israel is super divided among people who just want to be done with their issues in the Middle East. And by that, I mean all out mother effing war. Like, there is a war contingent in Israel that should scare the shit out of everybody. And then there's another contingent in Israel who's more like, let's all just calm down. Maybe we can give up some more land. And we are giving up more land in the West Bank. All of these kinds of things. But this is a problem. Israel is not going to allow Iran to have a bomb. And the rest of the world is just going to have to sit there and go, clutch our pearls and wait to see how this is a big deal. Let's see. You don't need me just ranting about Iran having a bomb, but Iran is not run by good dudes, okay? Iran is run by bad dudes. Iran can make fissile material for a bomb in about 12 days. This is according to a U.S. official. While U.S. officials say Iran has grown closer to producing fissile material, they do not believe it has mastered the technology to actually build a bomb. Oh, they don't believe that. Iran could make enough fissile for one nuclear bomb in about 12 days. This according to a top U.S. department U.S. Defense Department official. Let's see. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, Colin Kahl. Undersecretary for Defense Policy, Colin Kahl, made the comment to a House representative hearing. All right. Look, when Iran is just a bunch of crazy people, it's easy to just kind of compartmentalize them and go over there. But if they start making nuclear bombs, they could sell it to any crazy Muslim. That's a problem. Look, Iran is run by crazy people. They have a political wing in Iran that dudes wear suits and they look like normal, westernized, modern politicians. But then their bosses are all the guys in the robes and all of that kind of shit. So now their bosses, they're going to have access to this nuclear material. So what happens when the next what happens when the next, Bin Laden rises up from some wealthy family in Dubai? And he's like, I want to start a war for Allah. And then they go and they buy a freaking nuclear bomb from the Ayatollah in Iran. Look, there are just problems here. The people who have nuclear bombs have to be trustable. We didn't want anybody else but us to have nuclear bombs, but that got out. The Russians got them, the Chinese got them, the India's got them, Pakistan's got them. We believe Israel's got them, but that's top secret. The UK's got them. We've got. So look. Of all the people, France has them. All the people who have nuclear bombs, we have to be able to trust. I mean, even Russia, we spent 50 years doing a Cold War with them, trying to test out whether or not we could trust them. Turns out we could. Turns out the Cold War, it worked. It did its job. We can't trust Iran. That's all I'm saying. We can't trust Iran to have nuclear bomb technology. Can't. All right, here's a big one. This one's a big one for me. This is trending. Oh, yeah, sports fans out there. I hate, okay, so obviously, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Big Chicago Bear fan I am. We got the number 1 pick in the draft. We're going to trade that pick probably. So we're very interested in the top athletes coming out of this year's draft. And ladies and gentlemen, one of those top athletes, in fact, a guy who looks like he's going to go to the NFL Hall of Fame as a 3 technique, just coming straight out of college. Jalen Carter is trending today, ladies and gentlemen. Jalen Carter, standout tackle from Georgia. Badass. Oh, my God. Jalen Carter is expected. Now, look, I know we got Bryce Young. We got C.J. Stroud. We got Will Levis. Anthony Richardson. There's quarterbacks. There's quarterbacks that are going to be taking 1, right? Then it'll be Bryce or it'll be CJ or maybe even Levis. I don't know. But the quarterback's going to be taken. But of the next group, of the non-quarterbacks, the first guy off the board is either going to be Jalen Carter of Georgia or Will Anderson of Alabama. All right. Now, I'm a Chicago Bear fan. We got a high pick. I think we're probably going to end up with the 4th pick. I think we're going to trade our number 1 pick. We may trade the number 1 pick to number 2 Texans, and so that they can ensure that we don't trade with Indianapolis, because they don't want Indianapolis taking Bryce. So we might flop with the Texans at number 2, which will be good for the Bears because we'll get the number 2 pick. They can take the quarterback we weren't going to take anyway, and we get the number 2 pick. But then we can start bartering with the number 2 pick. And I say we then take the number 2 pick and we trade it with the Indianapolis Colts, so that the Indianapolis Colts can then have their pick of Will Levis, C.J. Stroud, whoever it is that the Texans don't take a quarterback. So now that puts the Chicago Bears at 4. And we're probably going to take Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. That's it. That's our big thing. Do we want Jalen Carter or do we want Will Anderson? Well, Jalen Carter may have helped us answer that question, because Jalen Carter is trending because there is an arrest warrant out for Jalen Carter. You're talking about, when everybody talks about the NFL draft this year, let's say they talk about 5 names. Jalen Carter is one of them. Jalen Carter is in there. Will Anderson is in there. They're the 2 non-quarterbacks that could go number 1 in this draft. The Bears could just decide to keep the number 1 pick and take either Will Anderson and Jalen Carter at number 1. So that's why today, when it's been revealed by Georgia police that Jalen Carter is being sought, there's an arrest warrant for Jalen Carter. Because you remember that car accident that occurred after Georgia won the national championship a couple of weeks back? A couple of people got killed. Apparently, Jalen Carter was in the other car and they were drag racing. Oh my God. Somebody's gonna draft Jalen Carter in the second round. And he could have been the number 1 overall pick. I don't know how this is I don't know. We'll see. Police secure arrest warrant for NFL top draft prospect Jalen Carter in connection with fatal crash. The Athens-Clarke County Police Department has secured an arrest warrant for top NFL draft prospect Jalen Carter in connection with its investigation into the fatal crash in January that left a Georgia football player and recruiting staffer dead. Police said in a news release Wednesday that they are seeking to arrest Carter for reckless driving and drag racing, both misdemeanor charges. As part of their investigation into the fatal crash that killed Georgia recruiting staffer Chandler LaCroix and Devin Wilcock, an offensive lineman who was also riding in her vehicle. Carter and LaCroix were operating their vehicles in a manner consistent with racing prior to the crash, police said. And LaCroix's vehicle was traveling 104 miles per hour. Carter, a projected top 5 pick in next month's NFL draft, wrote in a statement on social media Wednesday afternoon that he would return to Georgia to face the charges and make certain that the complete and accurate truth is presented. Guys, for us crazy draft heads, man, this is a big deal. This is big. There's a lot of draft boards right now who are looking at Jalen Carter going, he might be available in the second or third round. Somebody might be, this is not good. These are the sorts of things that affect draft status, although he was so dominant. But here's the thing. So among us Chicago Bear fans, it's the great debate among us Chicago Bear fans, is Jalen Carter or Will Anderson? Is that who we're taking? Are we taking Jalen Carter, who is a 3 technique, who will fit on any NFL defense as a day 1 starter? He's terrific. He's got everything. He's got the measurables. He's got the numbers. Or do you go with Will Anderson? Is Will Anderson, the edge rusher from Alabama, is Will Anderson your choice? Now, I'm a Will Anderson guy. I believe that we start to rebuild this Bears defense by putting Will Anderson on one edge, and we go and we get Khalil Mack back in free agency, and we put him on the other edge. And then so we let Khalil Mack teach Will Anderson how to be Khalil Mack, because Will Anderson looks to be very similar to Will Anderson is not comparable to college Khalil Mack. Will Anderson is comparable to first couple of seasons LA Raiders Khalil Mack, which is pretty good. So I'm a Will Anderson guy over Jalen Carter. Here's a little fun fact for you. Here's why. Well, you could get into football. Well, why not? Since I can prove that I can do sports talk. I'll tell you why I'm a Will Anderson fan over Jalen Carter. For one reason, I think that my Bears need both positions. We need both an interior lineman and we need an edge rusher. In free agency, which we have just shit tons of money in free agency, we have so much salary cap space. We're going to be able to go out and get anybody. In free agency, there are more available 3 techniques and interior rushers. So we can go out and we can fill those holes in free agency. What we can't get in free agency is a potential generational edge rushing talent. And that's what Will Anderson is. And I'll give you an example of this. So Aiden Hutchinson, who was the number 2 pick in the draft last year for the Detroit Lions. Aiden Hutchinson, dominant in Michigan. Oh my God, people were just licking their chops over Aiden Hutchinson coming off the edge. Aiden Hutchinson plays his rookie year for the Detroit Lions. Fantastic rookie year. Aiden Hutchinson looks totally legit. Aiden Hutchinson, in 4 years at Michigan, had 128 quarterback sacks. Oh, not sacks, I'm sorry, pressures. 128 quarterback pressures. In 4 years at Michigan, Aiden Hutchinson. Chase Young had 150 quarterback pressures in 3 years at Ohio State. That's pretty good. Myles Garrett, we all know Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett had 164 quarterback pressures in 3 years at Texas A&M. So there you have it. Those are three of the biggest names in the NFL right now as far as creating pressure off the edge. Aiden Hutchinson in college, 128 pressures in 4 years. Chase Young, 150 pressures in 3 years. Myles Garrett, 164 pressures in 3 years. Will Anderson of Alabama, 207 pressures in 3 years. So yeah. So I'm a Will Anderson guy. Anyway, Jalen Carter, good luck to you, man. But I think you solved the Bears conundrum about which guy to take, Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. And you might be a nice little treat for somebody in the second round. Somebody in the second round might be like, holy fuck, the best interior lineman in the draft is still on the board. Why is nobody taking Jalen Carter? Because he was drag racing and he might have killed some kids. That's okay. I'll take a flyer in the second round on this kid. Let's do it. Here's some good news. Oh, no, actually, this isn't good news. Maybe it's good news. I don't know. Do you have a hot take on Harry and Meghan? I don't give a shit about them. Harry and Meghan have been evicted from Pigswallow Manor. I don't know, some place. Hog's Bottom, Frogmore Manor. That's what it is. It's Frogmore Manor. Harry and Meghan have been evicted from Frogmore Manor, which was their official residence there in England. King Charles, he kicked him out because he didn't like some shit that he read in the book. Apparently. I don't know. But so the royal family have all of these castles, right? And all of these castles have these kick-ass houses on the grounds. Like, it's not just a castle. It's like a castle, but then there's like a 6,000 square foot mansion over there. And then there's like a 10,000 square foot mansion over there. And they all have names like Frogmore Manor at Windsor Castle. So like Frogmore Manor is on the grounds of Windsor Castle. And that's where Harry and Meghan had been living when they were there. But Charles is like, get the fuck. Charles just booted him. He evicted him. And Charles is trying to make his brother, Prince Andrew, the disgraced pedophile, they're trying to make Prince Andrew move into Frogmore. But he doesn't want to move into Frogmore because he feels it's beneath him. You're a pedophile, dude. You're never going to be king. You're like the spare to the spare. Ugh. Royal family. Anyway, Harry and Meghan have been evicted. They're not allowed to live at Frogmore Manor on the grounds of Windsor Castle anymore. Here's the good news. Okay? This is good news. Good news for me. I'm a fat guy. This is great. As a matter of fact, when I saw the story trending today, I thought to myself, I was like, wait. You mean I just haven't been... It's like I've been giving myself credit for like the last 10 years for avoiding these things. Like, because I love these things. These things are so good. I could eat these things all day, every day. And I did for a period of time. And for the past 10 years, I've been like, I'm not eating those anymore. I don't even go to that place. I don't even tempt myself. Well, it turns out they haven't been on the menu in 10 years. So I haven't really been staying away from them. They weren't available. But in my mind, I thought they were available and I was staying away from them. So I'm going to build on that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to build on that. What am I talking about? Talking about the KFC Double Down. The Double Down is coming back. It's coming back March 6th. Remember the Double Down? Do you remember what the KFC Double Down is? Oh, man, the KFC Double Down was awesome. It was like a joke. It was like a joke when it first came out. KFC was like, hey, let's double down with the unhealthy eating. That was kind of the whole thing. The Double Down was the chicken sandwich didn't have any bread. It just had fried chicken breasts as bread. And then there's like cheese in between and bacon and all kinds of like some sauces and stuff. And you just eat it. It's like two breaded fried chicken breasts with, they're so good. They're so good. I will get one now. You know why? I'll get one? Because I don't believe my 13-year-old son has ever had a Double Down. As a matter of fact, I know he's never had a Double Down. So we'll do that as an excuse. We'll go get Double Downs for dinner. Dateline, New York. Kentucky Fried Chicken is bringing back a legend after nearly a decade away. I didn't know it was gone. I thought they still had it. The KFC Double Down is coming back for a limited time as of March 6th. The instantly recognizable creation replaces the bread that's found in a typical sandwich and uses 2 fried chicken fillets as the bun. In between are 2 slices of cheese, a heaping helping of bacon, and a choice of mayo or spice sauce. The Double Down made its debut in 2010 and sold more than 10 million sandwiches. Despite that, the chain said back then that sales of the sandwich were immaterial. An analyst said the Double Down sales were below expectations. But the Double Down generated more buzz than any other test in the history of KFC's kitchen. All right, so there you go. That's good news. The Double Down is back, bitches. McDonald's is also trending. McDonald's is trending because there's a whole bunch of independent McDonald's franchisees who got a problem with the Cardi B and the offset meal. Apparently, McDonald's has this promotion, and they've signed a promotional deal with Cardi B and Offset. They seem fun. That's, when I see that couple together, they seem fun. Cardi B and Offset. They seem fun. I wouldn't want to live next door to them. They seem loud. They seem like they would play their music too loud, and there's a lot of screaming and yelling and stuff. But they seem fun. They seem like a fun couple. So a whole bunch of people who operate McDonald's restaurants, they're like, we don't think that they fit the brand of McDonald's, or whatever it is they're doing. Some U.S. McDonald's restaurant owners have raised concerns over the chain's collaborations with celebrities, including rappers Cardi B and Offset. According to franchisees and email messages to other owners in the company that were reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, some owners said a number of McDonald's locations have declined to promote the current Cardi B and Offset meal because of concerns about being associated with the artists. In a message sent to the U.S. division in recent weeks, several McDonald's franchisees said that the artist's lyrics and lifestyle aren't aligned with the company's brand. But is the company's brand aligned with modern American culture? If the company's brand is no longer in step with the zeitgeist of the moment, then the company's brand must change. You don't just anchor yourself to a brand and just disregard changes in tastes and all of that. I mean, if that were the case, in the 1350s, somebody would have opened up the first fast food restaurant, and it would have been like a ye old turkey stand, and people would go through a drive-through on their horse and carriage. They'd get giant turkey, and then today in 2023, you'd be able to pull into a drive-through and you get a giant turkey. But we don't do that because people's tastes change. We stopped at some point in the 1400s. We stopped, with the giant turkey leg, and we moved to sandwiches and stuff. So you got to change the brand. So I mean, I don't know. What is Cardi B? Did Cardi B get shot, or did she shoot somebody? I don't know. Look, everybody's got something. I don't know what to do. In messages sent to the U.S. division in recent weeks, several McDonald's franchisees said that the artist's lyrics and lifestyles aren't aligned with the company's brand. Some owners wrote that the chosen celebrities could erode McDonald's family-friendly image and urged other franchisees to remove advertising and merchandising associated with the Cardi B and Offset meal in their stores. It couldn't be determined how many McDonald's, more than 1,000 franchise owners were declining to promote the meal or agreed that they were. I don't know what that means. All right, so there you have it. That feels a little racist. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It just feels like maybe somewhere in there's a little bit of, I don't like hip hop. It's something like that. Who knows? I don't care. It's McDonald's. I love McDonald's. You know me. Big fan of McDonald's. I love McDonald's. Travis Scott is trending. Travis Scott is trending because apparently he punched somebody in the face at a club, and now people want to talk to him. Travis Scott is wanted for questioning by New York City police. Travis Scott is wanted for questioning by police after a man claimed the rapper punched him in the face, sucking the puss, at a Manhattan nightclub early Wednesday. So this happening just now. A sound engineer who works at Club Nebula in Midtown told the look at Travis Scott. Look at the life of Travis Scott. It's fucking Tuesday night. He's in Midtown at Club Nebula. That's the life. Tuesday night. Who goes out on a Tuesday night? Travis Scott. Travis Scott goes out on a Tuesday night, and he punches sound guys in the face. The 52-year-old victim alleged that the 31-year-old Scott punched him in the face and did $12,000 worth of damage to an audio speaker and a video screen. The victim didn't suffer visible injuries and refused medical attention. Ooh, big mistake. Did he know it was Travis Scott? Travis Scott blows on me. and I'm going to look like a Premier League soccer player. I'm falling down. I kept my back. I can't move. I need to be taken out of here in an ambulance at the hospital. Travis Scott. Man, that dude's got to have mayhem insurance like nobody's business. Tap into that shit. This dude should have. Dude, he got punched in the face by Travis Scott. He's covered. Travis Scott's covered. You know, he's got people in offices that are like, all right, what's this check going to cost? Although maybe not, because didn't they have to write a whole bunch of checks to the people at that Houston concert, Astro World, where like a bunch of people died? Anyway, they're looking for Travis Scott. I don't know enough about Travis Scott. I really don't. Here's somebody else I don't know enough about, but I'm starting to come around on. Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber has canceled his upcoming world tour. It's his birthday. It's Justin Bieber's birthday today. But he's also canceled his upcoming world tour because he's got something like seriously wrong with him. His face is paralyzed. He can't. They are saying the people in Justin Bieber's orbit are saying that he's probably never going to tour again. That, you know, this is like a disfiguring kind of thing that he's got. Here's what he's got. It's called it's called Ramsay Hunt syndrome. Okay, Ramsay Hunt syndrome. It occurs when shingles outbreak affects the facial nerve near one or both of the ears. In addition to the painful shingles rash, Ramsay Hunt syndrome can cause permanent facial paralysis and hearing loss in the affected ear. So apparently, like half his face is paralyzed from this. Like it's all like, you know, it's like droopier or whatever. That's terrible. That's terrible. They're saying he may not. This could be like a career. You know, I don't know about career ending because maybe you'll still be able to sing and you can always record and all that. But this is like a big change. Justin Bieber, flush with cash from catalog sale, cancels the rest of 2023 tour dates because of face paralysis. They're also saying in here that, you know, he's known about this for a while and it's been a progressively accelerating disease. And that this is why, you remember a couple of months ago, he sold his entire catalog for like $250 million because he was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do much, you know, coming up pretty soon. I may as well cash in now while I can. There will be no more Justice. I guess that's the name of the tour for Justin Bieber. The balance of his 2023 tour has been canceled. Previously, Bieber had canceled the bulk of his 2022 dates after being diagnosed with Ramsay Hunt syndrome, which is a partial paralysis of his face. Now he's gone and canceled the entire tour. In September of 2022, he canceled the rest of the year through this month. Now the rest of it is all gone as well. Fans will be sent their money back. In the last few weeks, probably knowing he wasn't touring again, Bieber sold his song catalog, his masters, and whatever was in his house. It's said that he got $200 million. My guess is that he will not tour again, said someone closely associated with Bieber's management team. Maybe at some point, manager Scooter Braun will set him up in Vegas where he can do some sort of permanent Adele-type run. Let's see. Ramsay Hunt is not the only reason that Justin Bieber is no longer touring. It is this combined with he suffers from depression as well as a number of other mental health issues, like I'm English. So it's best to be safe and secure. He's made a wise decision. That's too bad. Here on his birthday. But yeah, apparently there was a picture of him, like a selfie picture that looks like he took on Instagram, where it's like his eyes all droopy. Doesn't look good. Protection dogs are trending. Protection dogs. How much are you willing to pay for a protection dog? Protection dogs are trending because apparently they're a big thing in LA right now. All the super rich people, they like they're buying these. Well, anyway, here's the deal. These protection dogs cost like $150,000. And it's just a German Shepherd. Actually, that's not true. They're cane Corsos, German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, and I guess that's it. Anyway, $150,000. It's like a big business where they're training these dogs, and these are not guard dogs. That's why they cost so much. These are like special protection dogs that are trained special. They can only do 18 a year. This company can only produce 18 protection dogs a year because it takes that long. Maybe they should scale out. Maybe they should, take an investment here. Because if they're selling these dogs, well, again, they're selling them for 150 because they can only produce 18. So, maybe, I don't know, whatever. This is where me being a bad businessman screws everything up. But whatever, it seems like a tenable situation here. So 150,000, they produce 18 of these dogs. These dogs are special in that they're not security dogs. They're not attack dogs. They're not like dogs that you guard the perimeter of the White House and just take anybody down. No, these are dogs that are trained to be family dogs first. So it's like they're a special kind of protection dog. So they're like family dogs first. And if you're in the family, the dog is like totally down with you, but they are also at any given moment ready to be protective of the family. So I could see that having some problems. Uncle so-and-so shows up, unexpected. Hey, guess who's here? And then the dog mauls him in the vestibule of the house. I don't know. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. And one rich dude was like, one rich dude said, well, if I pay $150,000 for this dog, and the dog lives 10 years, I'd say that that's really quite an insignificant amount of money, wouldn't you say? That was like his response. I'm like, so fuck you. I can't spend $15,000 a year for a dog for the next 10 years. What the fuck, man? Why? Stop it. Rich people. It's really a relatively insignificant amount of money when you think about it, yes. Let's see here. HBO's got a new show called The Idol that is trending right now. It's from the dude who made Euphoria. I don't watch Euphoria because I don't know. Everybody, you got to watch Euphoria. Euphoria is the best show on TV. I'm not a 25-year-old single girl, right? I don't need to watch Euphoria. I don't think they're speaking to me. I don't think they're trying to connect with me. And God help us if it does somehow connect with me, because then I don't know who I am. But I don't watch it. I don't watch Euphoria. But there's a new show called The Idol, which co-stars The Weeknd. It's Lily Rose Depp, so it's Johnny Depp's daughter, and it's The Weeknd, and it's a new series on HBO, and it's crazy. Apparently, they're having all kinds of problems because it's super dirty and super sexy, and I don't know. They're having production troubles because people are complaining. Like, people on the set are like, she's being victimized on the set. It's like, all right, now we can't do movies anymore. People can't pretend to be victimized because she's being victimized. Yes, she's pretending. She's depicting someone being victimized. She's an actress. This is what we're doing. We're creating a phony depiction of the real. But you can't do that. You can't just celebrate victimization. We're not celebrating victimization. We are depicting a very real situation that occurs. But no, but you got those people. You got those people on the set. They make some bad. I'm telling you, man. They let this crazy fringe, super woke Hollywood left start making all the decisions in movies and TV. There ain't gonna be nothing for me to watch because I like some borderline offensive stuff in my TV. I see, and you know why? Because I'm smart enough to be able to go, this is TV, and then walk over to my window, open it up, and go, this is the real world. See, I know the difference. I can do that. That's why I'm fine with seeing the offensive stuff. It's good for me. I can, but maybe not everyone is like me. Maybe not everybody can do that. Maybe they think, but on the TV show he did that to her, so now in real life I'm going to do it because I saw it on the TV show. See, I make that distinction: TV show, real life. Window out the window. That's real life. This is not. Let's see here. What else? Netflix is making a show. Netflix is making a new documentary series. Oh, they're very excited about it. It's called Money Shot. I got to tell you, I'm kind of interested in it. Netflix new documentary series, Money Shot, will document the history, the success, the controversies, the scandals, and what it says about society in general as they track Pornhub. That's right. One of the world's most visited porn sites in the world is getting its own documentary series on Netflix called Money Shot. It is the story of Pornhub. And but it's not like here's what I'm hoping, okay? Because that's very interesting to me. I don't want it to be, and I know it's Netflix, so it's not going to be like crazy sexy or porno because they don't do porno on them. But I don't want it to just be like some dirty thing designed to titillate. I want to hear that story. I would love to see the story of how Pornhub became what Pornhub is, as big as Google. Nobody wants to admit that. Who was it that was telling the story the other day? Was it James Parker? I don't know who it was. Somebody was telling the story the other day on the Pugs and Parker stream at 9 o'clock about going out with Ron Jeremy and being shocked at the people who recognized Ron Jeremy. And what do you mean you're shocked? He's like, well, that was like a 50-year-old woman. She knew who he was. I'm like, yeah, what? You don't think 50-year-old women get horny? I go, well, you don't think that's the great secret about porno. Everybody is way more familiar with it than they let on. So Pornhub, whenever they put out the list of the most visited websites, it's always like Google, Pornhub, right? It's always like Pornhub right after Google. People know what Pornhub is. Netflix knows what they're doing. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, okay. This is dumb. This is another one of these dumb lists. You can tell we're getting to the end of the stuff that I've prepared for today's show. Here's a dumb list. Ready for a dumb list? Here's another one of these. Cleanest cities in America. All right, these are the top 5 cleanest cities in America. And I've been to a number of them, and I don't know if I agree. Honolulu, Hawaii. All right? Never been. Seems clean. That's fine. I got no problem with Honolulu, Hawaii being America's cleanest city. Seems nice. Number 2, Virginia Beach, Virginia? What? I've been there. What? Number 3, cleanest city in America, Naples, Florida. Well, the beaches are pretty, but it's Florida. Number 4, cleanest city in America goes to Long Beach, California. Long Beach? You mean by the docks and where all the industry is? That's the cleanest city in America? Okay, that's very good. And number 5, cleanest city in America, Norfolk, Virginia. Norfolk, Virginia? The Naval Yard? The cleanest? Really? Okay. All right, there you have it. Those are the cleanest cities in America. Study finds. That's it. I got nothing else prepared for you, folks. That's pretty much today's show. Today's super special show came out at a different time. Let's see here. Let's see what's trending. Anything that I missed? Anything that's been happening in the last couple hours? Pugs Moran is trending at number 1. I don't know why. Did he get hurt? Women's History Month. Women's History Month? Is March Women's History Month? Well, I didn't know that. Is March Women's History Month? Okay. All right. Ooh, okay. All right, I got an idea now. Okay. Every day I will present to you a quick little story about a woman who did something that we like. I'll do like my version of the Google, the Google image, Google or whatever Google, Google sometimes they celebrate with their logo, and it'll be like, today's the day that Henrietta Hendrickson, did this in 1927, and she was, they do that, and it's always someone you never heard of. You're like, I never heard of this person. They make me feel stupid. So I will do my version of that. I will tell you about broads, dames, and women. I'll give you every day. Start tonight at Pugs of Parker. Tonight, maybe we'll do who would be the first? Who would be the first woman that I would focus on? Well, I already told you about the lady who did the Barbie doll thing. She's pretty impressive. We talked about her, the lady who invented the Barbie doll. She was smart. She saw the world, and she was like, yeah, I don't think girls just want to play with babies. I think girls want to be aspirational. I think they want to have like a doll that they can look at and go, one day I'm going to grow boobs like that and have a zero waist. Garland is trending. That's got to be about Merrick Garland, and we don't wade into stupid politics. Sam Levinson is trending. Sam Levinson is trending because of the story I just told you about the HBO show, the new one that stars The Weeknd and Lily Rose Depp. That apparently it's too sexy and people have problems with it. Sam Levinson is the creator. He's the creator of Euphoria. Who's Sam Levinson? So a dude created Euphoria? Now it's even weirder. Because isn't Euphoria just like, teenage girls having sex in their sex lives? Isn't that like all it is? And it's like, what? If Sam Levinson turns out to be like a 50-year-old white dude, I'm going to be like, you should not be writing that. What? Let's check your search history, weirdo. Anyway, Sam Levinson is trending. It's got to be because of this new show. Burbank. Why is Burbank trending? Whenever a random city trends, I'm always like, oh, well, I guess there was a shooting. No, it's because it's snowing in Burbank. Burbank, California is trending because apparently it's snowing. Jalen Carter is trending. We talked about Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, the Georgia interior defensive lineman who there's an arrest warrant for him, and he could be the first defensive player taken off. Well, yeah, easily him or Will Anderson, the first defensive player taken off the board in this coming draft, and there's an arrest warrant for him. So guess what? This could cost him millions. This news story could cost him millions of dollars, literally. If he slides out of the first round, Havana syndrome is trending. Remember Havana syndrome? That's that thing that the Russians are making everyone's ears seem tingly or whatever. I don't even know what it was. So they're saying that the Havana syndrome is not something that's targeted. At least that's what. Havana syndrome not caused by foreign adversaries, U.S. intel finds. They still don't know what the fuck it is. They don't know what Havana syndrome is. But at least now they don't think it's caused by. Ticketmaster. Buffalo Fire Department. Why is the Buffalo Fire? That's a weird random thing to be trending. Buffalo Fire Department. Okay, so someone died. So there you go. I am deeply saddened to report that a member of the Buffalo Fire Department has lost his life while bravely fighting the 4-alarm fire on Main Street in downtown Buffalo today. I ask everyone to keep the family and fellow fire. Okay, so there's a big fire in Buffalo. Yeah, I'll say. Yeah, looking at some video of this. All right, so there you go. There's a big fire. There's a big fire in Buffalo, New York. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We are done with today's high noon presentation. Here's what I want from you. I want from you to get back. Go into your world. You got a couple hours, a little less time than normal. Then rally back here at 9 o'clock tonight because we're going to do Pugs and Parker probably present Pillow Talk. That's 9 o'clock. It's more conversational. I believe Parker has booked. How do I introduce this person properly? Last night we had Sybil on the show. She was great. Loved having Sybil on. Tonight we're going to have Bobby Garza. Oh my God. If you guys, Bobby needs his weed. If you guys go back to, the first 5 years of the Pugs and Kelly show here in Dallas, you'll remember Bobby Garza. What did we used to call Coconut Bobby? Is what we used to call him. I don't know why we used to call him that. I think that's a racial slur, but we would have only called him that because he would have introduced the term. So very excited about that. What a guy. Bobby Garza is supposed to join us tonight on Pugs and Parker. So there you'll have that. I'm sure he's going to have some 105.3 stories as well. We've been doing that pretty regularly on the Pugs and Parker stream. We've been using that as an opportunity to bring on people we work with at 105.3 and get their stories so that we can compile them all for the forthcoming Who Killed Live 105.3 podcast coming to the Radio Misfits podcast platform. You want to tip this show, you want to support this show, you want to support the Pugs and Parker show, you want to support all the streams that we do. We do this stream Monday through Friday, typically at noon. Today was a little bit later. Typically at noon, Monday through Friday. Then we do Pugs and Parker Monday through Thursday evenings at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can tip the show, Cash App, Venmo, all of that stuff. End of the month. Help out the show if you can. It was a short month. We didn't make it. We didn't come anywhere close to making it. So, but we will march on. Hebisa. What else? I got nothing else, folks. Okay, love you all. We'll see you again at 9 o'clock tonight for Pugs and Parker with special guest Bubba Garza. If you want to hear Sybil last night, go to pugscast.com. Pugscast.com shows you all the videos of the shows that we recorded. Last night's Pugs and Parker featured us with the lovely Sybil Summers. Bye. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest.
am on a never-ending quest